what was I saying? So I was using this as protection, you know what I'm saying? You know, but I feel like whenever I'm walking out in the street, you know, I do kind of get that sense you're saying, that energy, you know what I mean? Even just walking past people, like, you know, you might get that kind of vibe where it's like, oh, they don't really seem kind of off.
Right.
Like, just that simple cross of paths, like, you just feel that, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I guess I never really considered it, like I said, because I'm such a contrarian. I don't like when people just start saying shit and using all type of words and it's a trend and all that kind of stuff. You know, I feel like it takes away the validity of it all. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I feel that, but I feel like energy just isn't secular to anything. Like, it just is, and it just is. Like, where your energy, I'm energy. The camera's energy. The light is energy. You know, I just feel like it's really simple, but it's also complex at the same time. It just is.
Yeah.
Like God, for example, the spirit is energy.
Definitely. I wanna get into because I had this question when you had Vanessa on here last episode. Like, in your opinion, as a woman, like, what's your take on today's societal shift for like feminine empowerment and like the exposure of like rape culture and like, you know, body imaging that's portrayed through media? Like, what's your whole spiel on that? I'm curious.
So, as far as like rape culture and stuff goes, I think the Me Too movement has great potential. It just needs to be honed in. It's the same way I feel about the Black Lives Matter movement. Like, people only really do stuff about it when something happens.
Reactionary.
And I don't really care for that in either situation because it's an ongoing problem, so we should treat it as such. As far as I know, like, a huge thing that I would debate with people about is how I felt about the Bill Cosby case. And people would say, oh, well, like, this woman got raped in the 70s, so why is she coming forward now? And I had a huge problem with people saying that because who are you to tell a victim when they can speak up about their experience? Like, maybe she didn't feel comfortable coming about it then, you know? And it is a murky, tricky situation because we don't know who's truthful and who's lying, but I'm not going to assume somebody's lying until they're proven wrong, you know? So I think, like, my whole issue with that is, like, and just people in general, is stop telling victims when they need to come out or when they should come out, like, because there's no timeline. There's people who wait their whole entire lives to even just tell their mom that they got raped or sexually assaulted, and it doesn't even have to be somebody they know. Like, you know, like, I feel like a lot of the time the stories that I've read, when people keep that type of stuff from their family, it's because somebody in their family did it.
It's shame, it's
guilt, but like,
blaming.
Exactly, but even like people who got raped by a stranger, sometimes they like internalize that stuff and don't speak on it. And I think this country really hates women. Like, they do not fuck with women, and it's really...
Elaborate on that.
And because, like, we're just always put at the back burner. If a woman is, like, for example, like, I read earlier that this boy, I forget what college it was, but he raped a girl and left her outside in the middle of the street. He's not kicked out of school, he's not going to jail, he has like a fine, but that's it. Like, and it's things like that keep happening that just shows me, like, this country doesn't care about women. Even the fact that we are having conversations about whether or not abortion should be like legal. Like, how are you going to tell me what to do with my body? If I lay down and had sex, it's my decision whether or not I want to have the kid, you know? We're trying to be controlled, and I don't fuck with that at all. It's really whack, and it's the same thing that they do to black people. But except for black people, it's men and women. Like, other people, I guess it's just women, you know. But it's honestly, like, disgusting to watch. And I'm not the, you know, most well versed on topics of feminism and things like that.
But you know how you feel.
Yeah, and I think feminism is great when it's used the right way. A lot of feminism, you know, you have to be careful with that, because feminism, when it first began, it was not for black women, and a lot of the time it still isn't for black women. And I think the term for when you include everybody is womanism, but I might be wrong. But
never heard that before.
Yeah. So I think feminism, like anything, everything needs a shift. I think a lot of things have the power to be great, but they're just not there yet.
I think, because I had this conversation with my mom, so she put it so eloquently. She said that for a long time, but to a certain point before, like, the sexual revolution happened, and before, like, the women empowerment shift happened, like, women were obviously, marginalized since forever. You know what I mean? And so, like, when you go from one extreme to the other, you're gonna get a whole lot of chaos on both sides.
Like that, I just don't understand why. Like, why is it? What's wrong with being equal? Like,
right. But I feel like too, it's I feel like what it really boils down to is, like I said, those two extremes. Like, for a long time, women have been, put in a quiet place, and now they're in a space where, they can speak freely and they can have their voices projected, which is a great thing. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of women have been hurt, if not all of them have been hurt in some type of way, and it's very sad and unfortunate. But at the same time, I feel like you're gonna have people who abuse that power. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, that's for sure. But that's with anything. There's like anybody can be a radical.
Yeah, of course.
In any
right.
realm.
And I remember, like, I heard someone say this, like, because that it was a phrase like, believe all women and stuff like that. But this guy, he said, I don't think we should believe all women. I feel like we should listen to all women, because all women aren't necessarily telling the truth. Yeah, like,
that's fair.
Because to me, it's like, like someone like Trey Songz and everything, there's been like multiple women who try to say like, oh, he hit me, he did this and everything, but it's always been like, innocence.
I think that is a good point, that we should listen to all women. I feel like we should listen to everybody.
Right, listen to everybody.
And then, I guess, make up your mind after you listen to them, because unfortunately some people do lie, and that's my issue with like that as well. Like, it's just such a hard thing to even think about, because like you don't know who's lying or who's telling the truth, and nowadays it seems like even worse, and especially like when it comes to like, I guess it's not really much of a thing anymore. Well, I guess it's still a thing, but it's not really mainstream, about how so many white women, for example, have accused black men of rape and ruined their whole entire lives, and then come out years later. And then come out years later, and and that obviously stems way, 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 way back to before our grandparents or great grandparents were even born. But it is a very tricky situation, because you really never know.
Mm-hmm. Do you think? Because like I want to get into like the rape culture thing, like I feel like it's so nuanced, and everything is rape culture nowadays, and I hate that shit. And it's like, it could be rape if a girl was like convinced to have sex with a guy. You know what I mean? Like, do you consider that rape? Like, if I take a girl out, we go out to a dinner, I take her back to my place, we're talking and everything, and like we just like we have sex, like, and then she was like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. Like, is that rape even though she consented, she was with it, like there was no objections?
If there's at any moment where a woman says no, or you feel like she would say no, then that is rape. Now, if the woman, I guess, says that she's for it and then later regrets it, I don't know. I don't think that counts as rape. Again, I'm not really super well versed, but in my opinion, if the woman said that she wanted it and just later regret it, I don't think that's rape, because she did say she wanted it. But if like there was any implication that she didn't want it, or she even said like a flat out no, or even tried to like make you stop, then I do consider that rape. Now, that's also tricky, because sometimes girls are like no.
Yeah, they do the playful no.
Yeah, but then they really
do.
Yeah, so I feel like it's like a very tricky thing that I like try not to even like go too much into, because it's like so complex and
it's so nuanced, and everybody has such a different situation, and like I know for me, like I really didn't start taking these things like to consideration until like something happened to the top of this year, like in January and everything. I had like a real like triggering moment where like I realized after like I don't know how long, like I was a kid, and like I essentially like suppressed this memory, but I was molested and everything. So it was like when I got to that realization, I was like, oh, like shit. Like, I didn't.
And it's so sad how many black men have been molested by their mom's friends or family members, and they just think, but they think it's so normal. Like they don't think that there's anything wrong with it. It's like, oh, like an older woman touched me, an older woman had sex with me, I'm like, and everybody's thinking you're the man. But when you think about it later, you're like, no, that wasn't right. And
or they get touched by men.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too.
You know
but
what I mean?
it's just
It
like,
could be anything, and I feel like, you know, when I had that realization, it gave me a different light on the whole thing, and I still take up from men in that aspect because I feel like there was a lot of bias, like I said, towards like
people
women.
think men can't be raped.
Right.
It's not true.
Like my boy was telling me he was, you know, raped, and I was like, what? I couldn't fucking believe it. It was just, I feel like there's not enough, like you said, equality. Like people preach equality, but they want their side to be fed first.
Yeah, and I do, because I mentioned to you before that I grew up with all boys, so I do tend to listen to both sides, and I do think that though women have it very hard, I do think that men get a short end of the stick as well, so I'll never take that away from any man. Like, men can be raped, men can be abused, men can be depressed.
Talk about it.
It just, like, it is what it is, and I hate that there's so much of, like, a difference between the two races and the two genders and how we view them. For example, like, if a girl has an experience with another girl, nobody's thinking that she's a lesbian unless she says she is. A lot of people think it's hot. But if a guy has an experience with another guy, now he's
gay.
I just think that that's so whack. Like, how are you know, and I don't want to go off on that tangent because I could really talk about that forever. But it's something that really bothers me, and it just made me think of what you said, because we treat both like there's like on opposite sides of the world when really we're not the same people. We're all made up of female and male energy, just to go back to the energy thing. Men have female energy, females have male energy, and that just is what it is, regardless of how that manifests itself, or even if it doesn't. Like, we're all made up of like the same stuff, you know, just different genitals. But like a woman's clitoris starts out as a penis too, so.
Yeah. You know, we're all women in the womb first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to change gears a little bit, you know, talk about something more lighthearted. It's this whole debate, and I'm quite sick of it. It's been going on, and I just want to know your opinion, but I feel like I already know the answer.
Okay. So you see, you do know me. Maybe. We'll see.
I'm about to find out.
Okay.
Because I might not want to know you after.
Okay.
Who is the king of R&B?
I'm like giving you the hardest eye roll right now because I'm so freaking tired.
Let me know, because you know I was offended.
So first off, I appreciate that Jacquees, is that how you say it?
Yeah, Jacquees.
I appreciate, because I don't really listen to her, like, you know.
I do.
Yeah, I know
he's
you
hard.
I appreciate that he feels very confident about himself.
And he said this generation. You can make an argument for that.
Okay.
He didn't just say of all time. He said of this generation.
Honestly, if I had to pick anybody, Chris Brown.
I see. I gotta stop you there.
You know why I think Chris Brown? Because Chris Brown, if that situation with Rihanna wouldn't have happened, and if he had his anger under control, Chris Brown would be dominating the world right now. Like, and he puts out hit after hit after hit, no matter how bad they are. He can dance, he can sing, he can do it all.
Let me stop you right there.
It's not Trey Songz.
Yes, it is. But I'm gonna get to that later. Let me tell you why it's not Chris Brown. You wanna know why? Because first of all, Chris Brown stopped making R&B a long fucking time ago. He even said, boom, that nigga's more the king of pop, if anything. Yeah. That nigga's a young Michael Jackson. He's surpassed R&B. He's more than R&B. Okay. He's phenomenal.
No, I can, yeah.
Love him to death. Grew up on that nigga. Not the king of R&B. I'm gonna tell you why Trey Songz is. This nigga is a direct lineage descendant of the original king of R&B, none other than Robert Kelly. I don't care how you feel about that nigga. Boom. We're gonna continue right. Hold on.
Robert Kelly, you mean our generation? First off, I love R. Kelly, but
he's the king.
The king of R&B is definitely Prince.
That nigga's a pop singer too. He's not an R&B singer.
He's pop and R&B.
No, you can't be both.
Yes, you can.
That's like saying Michael Jackson's pop and R&B. No, he's not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he was.
Prince was not no R&B.
I think he was.
Kiss was R&B.
I guess not. But like,
you see what that nigga was wearing?
Like, Call My Name definitely has to be an R&B song. Like, his whole discography isn't only pop.
Because I feel like when Prince, he's so unique. He's not just one genre, and he would tell you that.
That's true.
He's just not. He's not gonna claim to be that.
All right, okay, but like.
In the essence, but here's what I'm gonna break it down for you. In the essence of the musical genre of R&B, Trey Songz to me, obviously, and just to take away my bias from that, the bias away. Like I said, he's a direct lineage and descendant of R. Kelly, just from the style, his voice, the type of music he does. Like R&B has become such
Trey
like
Songz
a
has never
mixture.
given us a step song or made a hip opera.
A hip opera.
Yeah, like Trapped in the Closet is a hip opera.
He actually did his own remix when that joint came out, so boom, there you go. So let me continue. Don't test me on the trigger knowledge. As I was saying, the whole dynamic of the genre of R&B, it is very multi-dimensional. You have, funk with R&B, R&B with hip hop. You have R&B with soul. Like, it's just R&B is like many different things, but at the root of it and the core of it, it is black people singing about love, about heartache, about good times, about bad times, about sex, about all those things. When you really boil it down to its true essence, you only have a few of those people who have truly existed in that span of time. Truly. Like you go back, like you said, Luther Vandross, you had your R. Kellys, you have to have
D'Angelo in the conversation.
You had your D'Angelos.
I was about to say.
You had your goddamn
Daniel Caesar. He's
new.
Yeah, I mean he's
he
new.
fits it. He fits it.
He has the potential to be what is Frank Ocean? Is he pop or is
you
he
consider him R&B, if anything, because you don't hear that sound from him. It's always real slow.
Yeah.
It's real mellow. His falsettos. That's R&B. You got the Dream. He crossed over, but I can still consider the Dream.
Oh yeah, the Dream. But the Dream. That shit, Radio Killer. They used to be my jam.
Shawty 10 is probably the hardest track I ever heard.
Oh my god, yeah, for real.
But at the end of the day, I feel like it truly is Trey because he does embody that essence of R&B, and I feel like Jacquees has the direction to go in that same way because he's really kind of a lineage between him and Chris Brown because he dances and he has songs like Trey. It's gotten better.
I don't like the
It definitely gotten better. Oh, but when he was a kid,
remixes. I feel like everything's a remix.
You don't really know his discography like that. He's been in the game for a long time actually.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, since he was a kid. So it's like I put stock into what he's saying like for this generation because really he's been out longer than the Daniel Caesars and the Hers and everybody else just came out this past year. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you can really make a case for him, but overall,
Brent Faiyaz, you can't forget him.
He's hard as fuck too.
Yeah, he's in the
not a king, but hard as fuck.
Not a king, but he has the potential to be.
Absolutely. Every new nigga who came out this year and like the prior year has all the potential to be great. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But as far as consistency goes, as far as like the hits and the impact, like everybody knows Invented Sex. Everybody knows Neighbors on My Name. Everybody knows Bottoms Up. To Reasons. I can go on and on. Trey got those hits. He's a young R. Kelly, and since the beginning of his career, everybody has said that.
I can't think of a way to disagree with you, so we can go on to the next.
that was gonna leave it off that had to switch gears and everything, but I was gonna switch gears again, remix it. Anything want to ask your boy? Because I'm here.
Anything I want to ask you? That's a good question.
Why you think about that?
Whatever.
Peep all Trey Songz music. Don't sleep on my nigga.
I thought you were about to promote my show. First off, no. Watch the Weekly Read every Sunday at 9. Are you kidding me?
Trey Songz
is not paying for this.
He's like, next guest coming on next week.
He's not paying for this. Are you kidding me?
Shouts out to Danaé.
I guess, as an afterthought. But I guess so. If I had anything to ask you, I guess this will be our last thing before we wrap up. What do you think my energy is like?
What's your motherfucking energy? I think it's I think you have a real that term, big things come in small packages.
Okay, so you're saying I have a big personality.
Yeah, but you don't really portray it that much. You have that gentle type of energy and spirit. You know what I mean? It's real. It's genuinely gentle. I'll say that.
Oh, thank you. But the funny thing is, most people think that I am very quiet. Just based off of my Instagram and just because if I don't really fuck with you, I don't really talk. So that's just funny that's you pick that.
But of course, cause I understand that unless you get to know somebody, you're not really gonna know who they really are. I always got that because obviously I grew up in church. everybody they're like, oh, Kobe's so quiet, and my mom was like, no, he's not shy, he's not quiet. It's just like he just needs to like get to know you in order for you to get to know him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I understand that, and like, you know, I also feel like your energy is more just, I want to say, a little bit devious. Just a little bit.
What?
Just a little bit. I feel like it's a little bit devious.
Yeah, maybe just.
Yeah. See, look, I had a feeling, and I feel like that because one, you're very, like I said, inquisitive, and it's that the initial identity you get off of you where you don't expect much out of you, so you kind of play off that a little bit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I do. I definitely do.
Do a little cat and mouse on niggas.
Yeah, I do.
See, energy guru over here, you know what I'm saying? Fresh out.
Well, Colby, this was so great. I had so much fun talking to you. Thank you for interviewing me.
Yes, of course.
And thank you guys so much for coming back to watch another episode of The Weekly Read. Remember that our show's on Sundays at 9. Next week is the season finale, and I can't wait. It's going to be a great show, and then we're going to take a little bit of a break, rework the show. As you see, we have a new set, which me and Colby both like, so I think we're going to keep this. So we'll be back next week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and that's a wrap.
Hey.